Have you ever wondered why some communities seem to build wealth faster, smarter, and more consistently than others? Why do Jewish people, especially in the US and Europe, have a reputation for financial success? Is it luck, natural talent, or a carefully cultivated system of strategies passed down through generations? Today we are going to dissect this phenomenon and uncover the principles, habits, and mindset behind Jewish financial success, so you can apply these lessons in your own life. How did Jewish communities historically turn adversity into opportunity? Centuries ago, Europe was not kind to Jewish populations. They were barred from owning land, excluded from guilds, and prohibited from practicing many trades. This forced them into niches like trade, money lending, commerce, and finance industries that required intelligence, calculated risk, discipline, and long-term thinking. But was this just survival, or did it create a mindset for prosperity? Faced with restrictions, Jewish communities had no choice but to innovate. They became experts in handling money, assessing risk, negotiating deals, and understanding markets. These skills, once a necessity for survival, later became tools for building wealth and influencing industries globally. Did this adversity shape their culture and values? Absolutely. The pressure to survive in hostile environments ingrained habits like careful planning, education, community cooperation, delayed gratification, and ethical conduct in business. These were not just survival tactics. They became a blueprint for sustained financial growth. How does education play a pivotal role? Education is at the core of Jewish financial strategy. From a young age, children are encouraged to read, analyze, debate, and learn both religious and practical knowledge. This rigorous intellectual training develops critical thinking, problem-solving, negotiation skills, and the ability to spot opportunities others miss. Have you noticed how many Jewish entrepreneurs, scientists, lawyers, doctors, and investors excel in highly competitive fields? This is a reflection of the culture that prizes learning and excellence, where knowledge is seen as the most valuable asset of all. How does networking amplify their success? Community networks are a secret weapon. Members share business insights, financial strategies, job opportunities, and mentorships, creating a supportive ecosystem that accelerates learning and reduces risk. Newcomers can plug into these networks to gain access to resources that would take outsiders years to acquire. Does discipline in money management matter? Extremely. They prioritize saving, investing, entrepreneurship, asset protection, and long-term planning. They avoid impulsive spending and understand the power of compounding, diversification, and generational wealth creation. This disciplined approach separates those who build wealth from those who just chase high income. Without strategy, how does risk-taking factor in? Jewish communities embrace calculated risk. Historical restrictions forced them into unconventional careers, forcing them to innovate in trade, finance, and commerce. Today, successful Jewish entrepreneurs continue this pattern, assessing opportunities carefully, hedging risks, diversifying investments, and leveraging knowledge to gain advantage. Does culture influence business ethics and reputation? Yes, ethics are central. Trust, reliability, and transparency are critical in business relationships. A strong reputation reduces friction, opens doors, attracts partners, clients, and capital. Ethical conduct is not only moral, it's a strategic asset. How does intergenerational wealth planning work? Jewish families often teach children about money management, investments, business, ethics, and philanthropy from a young age. They structure assets to survive market fluctuations, pass on knowledge, avoid common financial pitfalls, reduce taxes legally, and create long-term financial security. How does psychology impact financial success? Patience, delayed gratification, self-control, confidence, and emotional intelligence are cultivated early. They learn to resist impulsive spending, manage risk emotionally, maintain discipline, think long-term, plan ahead, adapt to change, and seize opportunities where others hesitate. How important is mentorship? Extremely. The passing of knowledge from experienced family members or community elders to younger generations accelerates learning, reduces costly mistakes, and provides access to networks and opportunities, creating a compounding effect on wealth accumulation. Does globalization enhance these strategies? Yes, modern Jewish entrepreneurs leverage global markets, technology, capital flows, innovation hubs, and cultural adaptability. They combine traditional wisdom with modern tools to stay competitive and expand their financial influence. How does entrepreneurship fit in? Entrepreneurship is central. Most wealthy Jewish families encourage starting businesses, investing in ventures, solving problems, innovating, and creating value. These experiences teach resilience, financial literacy, leadership, negotiation, and risk management, all crucial for building wealth. How do they balance giving and growing wealth? Judaism promotes tzedakah, charity, community support, and ethical wealth usage. Through giving back, they strengthen networks, reinforce community loyalty, and instill values in younger generations, creating both moral and strategic advantages. How do modern Jewish entrepreneurs think differently about money? They think in systems, long-term, intergenerationally. They avoid shortcuts, focus on education, leverage networks, manage risk, invest wisely, build businesses, adapt to markets, and maintain reputations. They view wealth as a tool, not a status symbol. How do we distinguish fact from stereotype? Not all Jewish people are wealthy. Statistics show that, as a group, they often achieve higher educational and financial outcomes due to cultural patterns, values, community support, discipline, and strategies. The lesson is about adopting proven approaches, not assuming universal wealth. How can you apply these strategies today? Prioritize learning, read extensively, invest in personal and financial education, build networks, seek mentorship, plan long-term, embrace calculated risks, focus on disciplined saving and investing, maintain ethics, think intergenerationally, and act strategically. How does history reinforce these lessons? Survival through centuries of discrimination, persecution, and forced adaptation created a blueprint that combines intelligence, community support, discipline, ethics, entrepreneurship, and intergenerational planning. A model designed not for luck, but for systematic success. Can we quantify the advantage? Studies show Jewish households often have higher median incomes, more representation in high-paying professions, higher education levels, and higher entrepreneurship rates. While not universal, these patterns indicate that intentional strategies, habits, and culture drive measurable results. How does their approach differ from mainstream advice? Typical financial advice focuses on budgeting, spending less, or earning more. While useful, the Jewish model emphasizes mindset, education, community leverage, intergenerational planning, entrepreneurship, discipline, ethics, and strategic risk elements often missing from conventional guidance. Can small daily habits compound into wealth? Yes, tiny habits like saving a fixed percentage, learning about investments, building skills, networking, reading about business, mentorship, ethical conduct, planning ahead, avoiding impulsive purchases, and thinking long-term compound exponentially over time. How does culture serve as an invisible engine? Culture shapes values, behavior, habits, and attitudes toward money, risk, education, networking, ethics, and long-term planning. It provides the framework within which financial strategies are taught, internalized, and passed to the next generation. How do Jewish people maintain wealth advantage over generations? Through disciplined education, financial habits, mentorship, community networks, entrepreneurship, family businesses, ethical conduct, intergenerational planning, philanthropy, adaptability, and mindset reinforcement. How do we apply these lessons in the modern U.S. economy? Invest in education and skills relevant to high-demand sectors. Build strong networks and leverage community support. Start entrepreneurial ventures and side hustles. Plan long-term investments in diversified assets. Maintain ethics, reputation, and trust. Seek mentors and advisors. Learn continuously and adapt strategies based on market changes. How does mindset differentiate the successful? Success is not about luck or raw talent. It is about disciplined thinking, long-term vision, strategic risk management, network leverage, education, ethical conduct, and the ability to act consistently on these principles. How does philanthropy strengthen financial systems? Giving back reinforces community bonds, builds reputation, opens opportunities, instills responsibility, and creates a cycle where ethical behavior and financial success reinforce each other. How can anyone emulate these strategies? Adopt a growth mindset. Invest in yourself. Build relationships. Focus on long-term gains. Practice financial discipline. Embrace entrepreneurship. Seek mentorship. Maintain ethics. Plan for multiple generations. Study market trends. Learn from failures. Adapt to change. Think systemically. Act consistently. Measure progress. Iterate strategies. Read and learn relentlessly. Network strategically. Leverage community. Invest wisely. Teach younger generations. Prioritize learning over consumption. Apply psychological resilience. Manage risk effectively. Maintain patience. Self-control, integrity, and adaptability. How does this change your perception of wealth? It shows that wealth is not inherited luck or magic. It is cultivated through deliberate, repeatable strategies, habits, education, networking, ethics, discipline, entrepreneurship, and intergenerational planning. How can you as viewers take action today? Start small. Focus on building knowledge, discipline, saving habits, and networks. Apply lessons consistently, plan long-term, invest strategically, act ethically, seek mentors. Learn from history, embrace calculated risk, and cultivate patience and resilience. How does combining history, culture, and strategy maximize results? History provides lessons, adversity builds resilience, culture reinforces habits, mentorship accelerates learning, networks provide opportunities, education develops skills, and disciplined application converts knowledge into wealth. How does psychology fit in? Financial success requires self-control, emotional intelligence, confidence, strategic thinking, delayed gratification, resilience, adaptability, and decision-making under uncertainty. These psychological traits are cultivated systematically in successful communities. How does entrepreneurship accelerate wealth creation? Entrepreneurship provides leverage, multiple income streams, experience in leadership, financial literacy, problem-solving, market insight, adaptability, and the ability to compound wealth over time. How does long-term thinking transform ordinary individuals into wealthy families? By focusing on decades, not months, planning for multiple generations, educating children about financial literacy, ethics, investment, entrepreneurship, and networking. Ordinary families turn knowledge and discipline into sustainable wealth. How does networking amplify every strategy? Connections create opportunities, reduce risk, accelerate learning, provide mentorship, access capital, enable partnerships, and reinforce accountability. Network leverage transforms individual knowledge into actionable advantage. How do we summarize the blueprint? Education, discipline, saving, investing, entrepreneurship, mentorship, networking, ethics, community support, psychological resilience, calculated risk, long-term planning, intergenerational transfer of knowledge, and adaptability. This is a repeatable, proven strategy that anyone can adopt. What is the key question you must ask yourself? Will you continue chasing short-term gratification? Or will you adopt proven strategies that maximize your chances of long-term wealth, education, discipline, ethical action, and generational prosperity? Are you ready to act, apply, iterate, and commit to building wealth deliberately, strategically, ethically, and consistently? History, statistics, psychology, community, education, entrepreneurship, and mindset provide the answers. The only variable is you. Are you going to take the blueprint seriously, apply it relentlessly, adapt it intelligently, learn from failures, seek mentors, invest in yourself, and start building wealth that lasts beyond your lifetime? The principles are clear, the model is proven, and the roadmap is actionable. Your financial success depends on the choices you make today, not tomorrow. Consistent, deliberate, strategic action combined with education, mentorship, network leverage, discipline, entrepreneurship, ethics, and long-term thinking is what separates those who build generational wealth from those who merely dream about it. History has provided the lessons, the patterns, the psychology, and the strategy. Your job is to implement, iterate, and act. How will you use these lessons to change your financial future? Will you focus on short-term pleasure or long-term growth, discipline, education, community leverage, ethics, and strategic action? The choice is yours, but the roadmap is universal, proven, repeatable, and effective. The Jewish example is a case study in strategic, discipline-driven, ethical wealth creation. Your move is to implement these lessons with focus, consistency, ethics, patience, and resilience. Are you ready to stop wondering why some succeed and start applying the strategies that actually work? Your financial empowerment begins with understanding, planning, discipline, networking, mentorship, education, ethics, and consistent execution. Your future wealth depends on the actions you take today, not luck, not magic, not stereotypes, but deliberate, repeatable, strategic principles. Anyone who applies these consistently can transform their financial trajectory and achieve sustainable, generational prosperity.